Hi, good evening, everyone. I welcome you to this workshop on strategy discussion with maths as your optional. I'm looking at answering queries towards the end of the workshop. I'll begin with first explaining what maths optional is all about, what your strategy should be for a static syllabus in mathematics. And then if you have any doubts, like I said, I'll take it up towards the end. All right. Okay, so let me just begin with what um, okay. How do I go back to the note? All right. So if you have any doubts about maths as your optional, let me clarify that maths is a very, very scoring subject because it is objective instead of subjective. The syllabus is static. And if honestly, a lot of students ask me, what is the level of mathematics as an optional? Like, is it JE level? Is it master's level? Is it graduation level? So static syllabus, this is undergraduate level. So anybody honestly who is undergraduate level, anyone who's just passed out from a class 12th, when he or she enters first year of college, whether it is engineering background or non-engineering background, whatever subjects they study in the 3 or the 4 years of graduation that you do, that is exactly the level of the question paper also. So your question paper is pretty, if I might use the word, average. So they're not difficult questions, and they have a fixed pattern also to it. So static syllabus, not just in terms of syllabus, but also there is a fixed pattern to the question paper. There are 13 topics in all. They are divided into 4 sections, and they are clubbed very beautifully with other topics. So there is, as you know, the format of the paper in any optional is that there is a paper 1 and there is a paper 2. There are about 6 topics that get covered here, and there are about 7 topics that get covered here. And you don't have to, so every subject has its own demand. So some optionals, it may be easier or better to sort of segregate the papers, but maths is not supposed to be like that. Fortunately, since I teach you the entire math syllabus, I know that there are parallels between paper 1 and paper 2. So you're supposed to pick up paper topics from both the papers and do them simultaneously to actually judiciously utilize the the syllabus in such a way that you sort of compensate for each other. So whatever you learn in one can help you to do better in the other one, and they're interlinked to each other. So paper 1 and paper 2 topics have to be sort of clubbed together when you're doing it for the first time. And also when you do the revision, then I hope everyone knows that to be able to do well in this optional paper, you have to do, your strategy has to be repeated revisions. At least 3 to 4 revisions should be done before you're writing mains. Now, one revision, of course, happens between that short window of prelims and mains. That's a very short window, so only one revision can happen. Before that, at least 2 times more you should have done the entire syllabus. So one you do in the foundation syllabus, which is what we are going to actually start from the 27th of September, which is a last intake for the next year now, because it is a 7-month program, right? So once we start in September, the classes will go on till about April, and then you get a little bit window to sort of do your prelims, and then you get, so the 2 revisions that have to happen also in a channelized sort of a manner. So once when I'm doing the topic, every day you have to go back home and do the revision of that particular bit. That includes worksheets, in assignments, tutorials, and PYQs simultaneously. And then after every, say, about 2 months or something, or 1.5 months, or about, say, 6, 7 weeks, we will plan a test which will include all the topics that have been covered till that particular time, so that once more you sit at home for 2 days or something and have an entire look at the revision of the entire syllabus, and then you give mini tests. So about 2 to 3 class tests will take place in the program, which will help you to sort of make a revision strategy for how your syllabus has to get revised again and again and again. So this paper 1 and paper 2 topics, I will just discuss them in brief. Have you looked at the syllabus, by the way, the people who are, yeah? And what about the online students? Are you aware of what your syllabus is like? I would urge you to have a I apologize, my throat is not really in the excellent position. I may just keep coughing in between because of the weather. But so the syllabus I would urge you to have a copy of, okay, because there are some details. For example, when I write down linear algebra, what all in linear algebra is there, that you can have a look at from Vajiram's website. You can check the detailed syllabus or UPSC website. And so here I would just very briefly tell you that the entire syllabus can be clubbed into, can be divided into, categorized into two distinct headings. One is the basic algebra papers, one is the basic analysis papers, okay? Everything else revolves around this only, right? So what do I mean by that? So let me begin by explaining. Paper 1 and section A that you talk about has the following three topics. You have linear algebra, then you have calculus, and you have geometry. That's it. Just these three topics. And the trend of the paper always is, so as you all know, hopefully, question number 1 is always compulsory. It has 5 parts. And each question carries 10 marks each. Now, what they do is basically the first 2 questions they can ask, say, from linear algebra. Okay, one they will ask, say, or one they can ask from, say, geometry, and 2 they can ask from calculus. That is always the division. It's not always 2:1:2, but then it is around the same. Okay, so linear algebra usually, yes, there are always 2 questions. This they keep interchanging, but totally the 5 questions have to come from these 3 topics, which is a compulsory question. Then they'll ask, say, a question number 2. So question number 2, for example, will have 3 parts, A, B, and C. Now, for the last 15 years, 20 years or so, how they frame the question number 2 is that there is external choice, but there is no internal choice. What does that mean? That earlier, like long time ago, about 25 years ago or something, question number 2 will be a one which is wholly and solely based only on linear algebra. Then question number 3 will be only based on calculus. Question number 4 will be only based on geometry. So there was external choice. But here, what you're going to do is that what they do now, and for some quite some time, so which is the current, not just the current trend, it is almost like a compulsory pattern. That question number 2A will be again a linear algebra question. Question number 2B will be, say, a calculus question. And question number 2C will be a question from geometry. So what I mean to say is that you cannot leave any topic. Yes, the depth to which you cover each topic can vary according to what your strength is, but you cannot leave any topic. You have to do at least the basics of everything. So the syllabus is non-negotiable. You cannot now leave chunks of it, okay? So you have to do everything. So that is how question number 2, then question number 3 also same pattern, question number 4 also will be the same pattern. Paper 1, section B has again 3 topics. It starts with something called ordinary differential equations, right? Ordinary differential equations. So like I said, when you download the syllabus, you will realize what exactly in ordinary differential equation has to be covered. For example, there's variable separable, there is exact equations, linear equations, part of complementary function is given, higher order differential equations, first order higher degree. So the details of the syllabus you can very well see from the website, because it's so big, but it's basic. Like I said, it's undergraduate level. It is not something which is very complicated. The second one is basically called vector analysis. It can also be called as vector calculus, because analysis and calculus actually do stand for the same kind of a thing, but it is the basic vectors that I'm talking about. So I hope everyone knows what a vector quantity is, something which has magnitude and direction, but it's not as simple as that. So we do applications of distance, displacement, velocity, acceleration, and so on, but it's a little bit more than that. So there is other operators like curl, gradient, divergence, Stokes theorem, Green's theorem. So when I was telling you about how the paper is not just static syllabus but also a pattern, you will find each and every year there has to be question from Stokes, Green's, and Gauss. Sometimes all the 3, okay, and sometimes 2 out of these 3. So it's very short that if you prepare this well enough, there is going to be, which question can come, that is obviously something that we can't get into. But the subheadings we can be very, very clear about. So you can give weightage to your preparation in that kind of a manner. The third topic is physics, which includes statics and dynamics. Then let me explain in brief what is paper 2 section A going to look like. Paper 2 section A has 4 topics. The first one is known as modern algebra, also known as abstract algebra. This covers basically group theory and ring theory. And now the beauty that I was trying to explain earlier comes once I start writing the syllabus for both the papers. You see linear algebra here, and you see modern algebra here. So the algebra that you have to do is divided into two bits. One comes in paper 1 and the other one comes in paper 2. And they're not really independent of each other. Do you understand? So when you do the interconnections, the syllabus does not look humongous. It looks very doable. It looks like, okay, so you have to do algebra in 3 bits. One linear algebra, which comes in paper 1, section A. The other two are group theory and ring theory, which come in paper 2, section A. Can you see the balancing out that has been done? So it is divided equally. The second topic is real analysis. Now, even in the notes that I give, the booklets that I provide here, there is only one booklet of analysis and calculus because the books are also exactly the same. I hope everyone understands when I say something is analysis, you are analyzing something. What are we analyzing? The nature of a function, the nature of its limits, the nature of its, so anything that helps you to analyze, give properties of what properties does this function satisfy? Does it have a limit? Is it continuous? What does it look like? Function of higher variables, integration, differentiation. All these topics that I have just said are also coming under the heading of calculus. There is a topic called integral calculus. There is a topic called differential calculus. The theory of it is called real analysis. And the calculation part of it. See, what is the main word behind the word calculus? Calculus comes from the word calculations. A lot of people think maths is about calculations, isn't it? But we as people who are doing maths at a higher level need to understand there is concept followed by calculations. It is not just about 2 plus 2 is 4. It is about what is the concept behind adding numbers, or can you add them in a different way. So the theory of it actually comes under the purview of real analysis. That's why some people say, oh, analysis is very tough. I know calculus very well. It's bizarre to even hear statements like this because real analysis and calculus actually is the same syllabus. In fact, I will be able to show you once you get into the habit of doing PYQs that there have been questions which have been asked in calculus, and in the next year the same question has come under real analysis. But even the syllabus has some overlap, like integration is mentioned in both the places, so it comes under calculus also, it comes under. So again, they're not two separate topics, they have to be linked to each other. Clear? The third topic here is linear programming. Again, very, very short. 40 marks in the paper where I can tell you you can count on your fingertips what are the topics that are going to come. There's definitely going to be a question on simplex method. There is going to be a question on transportation. There can be a question on duality. So it's a very fixed kind of a type of question, So they can ask a word problem on linear programming, something like that. The fourth topic here is, so it's not complex numbers, it's again complex analysis. Can you see the majority of the syllabus getting covered when you do the word algebra, when you do the word analysis? Clear? Paper 2, section B now has again 3 topics. There is a PDE. Do you know the full form of PDE? Partial differential equations. Can you see now here? There is a ODE written here, and the syllabus has something called a PDE written here. Right? So first you do the basic foundation course on ordinary differential equation, and you take it one notch higher to do partial differential equations. In fact, it's very strange. While teaching ODE, one has to know what is partial derivatives any which ways. You have to be aware of what partial derivative is and so on. Only then can you actually come to this. Okay. The next topic here is called numerical. Guess what? It's called numerical analysis again. So see how the syllabus, you can count on your fingertips. It's analysis and algebra divided into 2. And the third topic here is physics, which again has fluid dynamics, and it has also some portion of mechanics. That is what the syllabus looks like. Okay, so you will not do it like paper 1 section A, paper 2 section A, not like that. You will club them in a very useful kind of a combination, which helps you to form interconnections between various concepts so that your fundamentals are strengthened. Okay, once your fundamentals are in picture, and once you have analyzed the pattern of the paper, and once you have analyzed the syllabus deeply enough, you can almost start predicting what kind of questions are going to come in the exam. So, I mean, even right now, when we're not doing a full analysis of, say, this year's paper, when it happens, you can go back home and see there'll be a question on Gauss, Greens, and Stokes for sure. 1 out of these 3 for sure, if not more. Then there has to be a question based on, say, Lagrange's method. There has to be a question based on Euler's method. There has to be a question based on Vogel's approximation, which is a transportation kind of a question, and so on and so forth. In linear algebra, there will be words like basis, dimension, spaces that will be used. So that way, maths is a very, very strong optional. A lot of classes that I take, end of the 2.5 hour class, I'm able to tell students that today when you go back home and look at your PYQs, you will be able to not just locate questions of the similar type. In fact, you will be empowered enough to do those questions right then and there without any extra help from anyone. So it's not like PYQs have to be done separately. They have to be integrated with the curriculum. So this 7-month program that we run here at Vajiram is a complete program. That means you don't have to, or if you don't have the time, for example, if next year itself you're clearing the prelims, where is the time to do any test series, enrichment program, nothing. We have supporting programs like that also, because as you know, UPSC itself, the journey is like that. It takes you about 1 or 2 years before you can actually come down to the competition frame of things, right? So when you clear the prelims and so on. So for our own students and of course open fathers, we have other programs like test series, which includes say 20 tests, and every month you write 1 or 2 tests to get they get evaluated, to keep you on your track, to have you help you have discipline. But having said that, the foundation course itself is a complete program, because once the syllabus is done fully from the point of view of the booklets that I share and the PYQs, there is nothing else that you have to do except for just practice the same amount of work. Is that clear? So it's almost, I mean, I would take the liberty to say that even though there is a book list that has been shared on the website, for sake of completion, Vajiram's website, if you check, because it's not the teacher's responsibility, or I wouldn't say responsibility, I would say it's not my right to actually tell you that don't read the books. Of course, you'll have to, I mean, to really truly appreciate the nature of the subject, one could advise you to read the books. But honestly, tell me, do you guys have the time to read so many books? And you know the size of the maths books, right? I mean, they're not this, they're pretty thick, And then where is the time? So I can advise you, but that advice will not work for you because there is paucity of time. You're doing so many other things. I'm sure you're preparing GS, and then you're writing, there are other answer writing programs you're doing, and there's so much. And where is the time to? So that's why I have condensed the entire syllabus in the form of booklets that you will be getting for each and every topic. If you do the booklets and the PYQs, you don't have to do anything else. Is that clear? But you have to do those religiously. And the booklets are, again, they're not photocopy from a book, and they're not the usual material that you would get. It's not books. These are booklets. These are like workbooks, okay? So you have handwritten notes here. These are like the way I would present an answer in the exam, which also brings me to another fact of this paper. And it is when we say maths, and when we say, oh, it's objective and the answer is 7, suppose, of some volume or something, and you think you've got the answer as 7, do you think the examiner is going to give you full marks? The answer is no. Presentation is as much important as the accuracy, if not more, because it's about how you are able to present your answer. It's not just about knowing the answer. In fact, if you look at 2 answers, and in both of them you've got the correct answer, one is like a dialogue. Let us now calculate the Lagrange subsidiary equations. Let us now calculate the partial derivatives. Now integrating both sides. So these steps tell the examiner that you're actually having a dialogue with the examiner in a way, and also having a dialogue with yourself. So that's the easiest way to actually make your presentation foolproof, And as in your other subjective papers, I hope so in GS papers and other optionals, people are taught how to write answers by actually dividing your answer into at least 3 basic paragraphs. One is like the introduction. The second is like the main body of the solution. And the last step is basically the conclusion. That is how math solutions also have to be presented. You have to begin with introduction. What does introduction mean? For example, if I give you a sample question, you'll find similar question in the PYQs. Find the rank of the given matrix, and then some matrix is given to you. Don't start immediately finding the rank. Tell the examiner what is rank and what are you doing to calculate it. Because to calculate the wrong rank, we do something called row reductions. Okay. Now I don't have and so I'm not teaching anything, but I'm just expecting that if you have basic information of maths, then you know that We used to do something like R3 goes to R3 minus R1. Do you remember these? These were called row reductions. There were 3 elementary row reductions and there were 3 elementary column reductions that you have in picture. We perform those in order to calculate rank, but that is the second step. The first step is going to be, what is the meaning of rank? Aren't you taught a similar thing when you are taught how to write answers in your GS? For example, any question, today's question paper, if I go through, and anything is written, I don't know, they're talking about some article, they're talking about some policy, they're talking about, you have to begin your answer by explaining what is a concept that is being asked. So the introduction here is going to be, we know that rank of the matrix is defined as the order of the highest non-vanishing minor. Not just write down the definition, underline the crucial words. Order of the highest non-vanishing minor. Whatever that means, since I'm not teaching you the concept, I'm just telling you that my answer, if suppose, begins with what is rank. In order to calculate rank, so you then say, in order to calculate rank, we perform elementary operations. Why are you allowed to do elementary operations? Because maths is all about logic. So you write down, we perform elementary operations, and then in brackets you write down, because elementary operations do not alter the rank. This itself is actually a theorem which can be very well asked in the exam. That show, and we will show it in the class. So my class, when I teach this topic called rank, will not just focus on how to calculate rank, but what is the rank, right? What is the logic behind the procedure of finding the rank? So you perform these elementary row operations, and then finally, when you get the answer, your final third step is going to be, answer is rank of the matrix. So your answer has to match with what the question was. Question was find the rank. Final answer has to be rank of the given matrix is whatever it comes out to be. Tell me, doesn't this look like a dialogue based solution as compared to, suppose, same question, find the rank, and people look at this and keep doing R1 goes to R1 minus 2R2, and then they get another matrix and they get another, and therefore answer 3. You yourself can see which answer would engage the examiner. Do you think this is better? Do you think this is better? And this, if it becomes part of your character, you don't have to learn answer writing skills separately anywhere. This is part and parcel of learning the subject. Only when you understand how the subject is so logical in its approach can you actually do well in the exam, right? And then sometimes the question, of course, can be not just find the rank, but check whether the columns are, I'm just giving you an example, okay? Check whether the columns are linearly independent or not. For this also, this is an application of finding the rank. But the question was about linear independence, and you perform the rank procedure. Then you have to, in one line at least, tell the examiner why checking for independence is same as calculating, say, the rank of the matrix. That is the logic what the examiner is looking for. He's obviously looking for calculations, but he's also looking at the concept behind the question that has been asked. So even though maths is a very, very technical paper, it's not about start and stop. That's not how your answers can look like. Answers have to be like in a dialogue kind of a form with the examiner. So when you integrate both sides, you write that down in English, integrating both sides with respect to x. When you integrate, do you remember when we integrate, we write a plus c? जब हम integrate करते हैं, don't we integrate and then write a plus c? What is c here? Where c is a constant. So you have to write that line. Otherwise, the examiner is not going to know what c is. And sometimes you have to find the value of c also when you have to find particular solution and so on. So all this is going to be sort of, we're going to focus on this in the class. And one another very important way, the way it gets focused is when you have the booklet. Because in that, I've written the answers the way they're supposed to be written in the exam. And you can, it's said very commonly that you have to do some activity for a fixed period of time, like 7 days or 21 days or whatever, for it to become your habit, you know. So when you do it slowly and steadily, it becomes your habit, and that habit then becomes your character. So I would hope that after the 7-month program, you can't write a wrong or bad answer. Calculations, you may go wrong because of careless mistakes and everything, but your Presentation skills have to be top notch. You see, the communication is it's always been the winner, right? So you need to be able to have good communication skills and articulate what you're saying. Now, when you're talking to someone and you're good at communicating, it obviously makes a better impression, as compared to someone who's not able to voice their own opinion or articulate their feelings. Now, the same thing is applicable when you have a written kind of a document. Your examination, your exam paper, your answer script is the interface between you and your examiner. You are not there in front of the examiner to tell him or her what you meant when you write this. So from the answer itself, the examiner should be able to gauge the level of intelligence, the level of preparation that you people have. So you don't have to just showcase your calculative abilities, but also your abilities to go behind the calculations and tell the examiner why and how you know the logic of what is being asked. Is that clear to everybody? So that's a very, very, very integral part of my classes. I don't think they can be separated. These two parts of answer writing, and so accuracy and presentation, then they are, I would say, inextricably linked to each other. You cannot separate them out. Getting the correct answer will happen only when your presentation is nice. It also helps you to revise. It is said you should revise your paper before you submit. So when you write it in a very mixed kind of a fashion, you can't revise only, you can't make out what you have written. So you have to write it in this form. And the other thing that we really focus on in the classes is to write the answers in steps. So step number one, we actually write down step number one, step number two, step number three. And this is my answer to a very important question that people keep asking, that ma'am, is there step marking? My one sentence answer is, yes, there is step marking, provided you have written the answer in steps. If you've written everything in a paragraph form, do you think examiner has the time or the energy or the inclination to figure out what are the various steps that you have written? No. Examiner is not there to help you. You have to help the examiner to give you as many marks as possible. So we write the answers as far as possible in steps. When you write the answers in steps, there's definitely going to be step marking. You look at the logic of, see, maths, if anything, has to be very logical, right? Tell me if you are the examiner and you're reading it, in step number one, you have done it correctly. Step number two, you've put a tick mark. Even if you make a mistake in step number three, so there is a cross. But in general, tell me, on a page, when you find two ticks and one cross, can you give a zero to this particular person? No, because two ticks have to stand for something. But these two ticks, you have to sort of get it from the examiner. Do you understand what I'm trying to say? That you have to make sure that you've written the answer in steps, so that the examiner also checks your answer in steps and doesn't just have a very sort of, overall look at it, and so let him focus on the steps that you have written. And then you are able to, is that clear to everybody? It's like, I don't know, the analogy that's coming to my mind is when you're traveling somewhere, suppose, and you open your GPS, So you're opening your maps to get an instruction to reach from, say, point number A to point number B. Suppose I want to go back home right now, and I open my maps to get a set of instructions. What do you think will be better? A step-by-step instruction, or an entire paragraph the map gives me, that from here take a left and then do right? And if you write it like that, will I be able to follow what the instructions are? No. So how is the GPS showing us instructions? Tell me. Step by step. This is the first turn left in 40 meters. Think about what comes later after that. First you do this, then after that you do this. And sometimes you also give me the map also gives me a indication of what is next. So there is a road blockage ahead. And so similarly, your answers have to be written in steps. Even if you get stuck somewhere, it's likely that some steps you've got correct. And therefore, in a question that you were expecting to get a 0 because you did it wrong, you may still get about 3 to 4 marks out of 10. And please remember, 1 mark also makes a lot of difference. Imagine in each question that you were going to get a 0. If I make sure that you're not getting a 0, but you're getting a 3 mark or a 4 mark, suppose there are 2-3 such questions, you've already made a difference of about 10 marks. Can you imagine what 10 marks does to your rank? I mean, it's a question of clearing and not clearing, as simple as that. So this also is accentuated in the classes. Like I said, apart from the concept building, we also work on your answer writing skills. The test papers that you will write, you will also get what is known as model answers, because of course I have to tell you how it has to be written, how it could be written better. I could share the script of the best performer in the class. So it is like the classes are like It's like we are a tribe, we're all together in this. So sometimes you can do the best and sometimes someone else performs the best. So I could share those answer sheets for, because sometimes students feel that, okay, teacher is saying this, but we don't have the capacity or the capability to do this. It's very heartening to know that students end up writing sometimes even better than what I could have predicted that answer to look like. So if you want to reach that level, you have to be very, very religiously attending all the classes, following every instruction that is given, and each day means each day. So 2.5 hour class followed by 2.5 hour revision at home. Is that clear to everyone? And meanwhile, in the foundation course, so let me just tell you now a little bit about, we are starting the program on the 27th of September, and the timings will be 7:30 to, we say 10, but it's more likely till 10:30. 7:30 to 10 actually is the timing, but let's put it in a safer zone at 7:30 to 10:30. And this will be at least 6 days a week, and there is no fixed off day. The off day has to be depending on whether the syllabus is going in a particular way, and if you're finishing a chunk. And so usually you do get one off day, but it's not like a fixed day. I announce it in the class, and according to that. And every week we can also have tutorials wherever required. Tutorials means, see, I give my own assignments and worksheets, which are there in the booklet. Sometimes I give them extra, plus PYQ discussions. So this will happen with the topics only. You don't have to wait for the entire syllabus to get over and then we will do PYQ discussions. No, each topic wise only. A lot of topics are like that. What I teach in the class, I'm able to announce that today you will go back home, find the PYQs, and very happily you will be able to not just recognize the type, you will be able to get me the answers also. Students ही कर लेते हैं अपने आप, dependent on each and every class. Is that clear to everybody? So PYQs also get handled together. And yeah, well, so of course, I mean, the how I would say the Vajiram's program is, I would say, different, or sort of provides you more, is that it is, like I said, it's a complete program. We're not going to shy away from investing time. It's going to be a 7-month program, but the 7 month is complete program. So you don't need to worry about whether any topic is left out, not just all the important topics, but the PYQs also are getting discussed. If you do regular practice, then your PYQs and everything is getting done simultaneously. Having said that, let me be very honest. Like I said, UPSC journey does take about a year or so, more than that. Because it's a static syllabus, once you have covered it, then it is about just repeating it. There is no current affairs in this. And thank God for that, isn't it? Did you want current affairs and maths also? No. So only the static syllabus. So how good you are going to be at the basics is going to help you to perform well in the exam. The prerequisites required for this is basics of differentiation. This is any school level book, okay? Any book from your... So basics of differentiation, integration, you can have a formula sheet ready. You can carry the sheet in the class also. Then there is obviously scientific calculator that is allowed in the exam. So I would urge you to buy a scientific calculator that you plan to use in the exam and get familiar with it. Calculator is also like getting a new phone. When you buy a new phone of whatever company, even if it was the same company that you're using, it takes you a little bit more time to get used to it. No? So get a calculator that you plan to use in the exam, and look at any YouTube videos that you'll have to actually maximize the potential of the calculator. Non-programmable calculators are allowed, right? But in non-programmable also, there are so many tricks and tips which help you to verify your answer, because the surety with which you can come out of the exam hall saying the answer is also matching. Presentation, I any which ways know it. It'll become your muscle memory. Presentation will become a part of you. That is how you'll talk. That is how you'll write. And if your answers also start matching, then look at the amount of confidence you'll have, right? So you can use scientific calculator to the hilt, differentiation, integration, and then basics of matrices, like how to find the matrices and determinants, how to multiply two matrices, how to find the inverse, right? And how to find the determinants, what are the properties of determinants, basics of that. Formula sheet is not allowed in the exam, obviously, Shubhangi, but I'm saying that prepare a formula sheet and keep it handy. Yeah. And that is how, so you don't have to sit down at home and memorize those formulas. While you're practicing in the class and while you're practicing at home, the worksheets that I give you, they'll become again a part and parcel of your system, right? You'll be able to do it faster. But get your one-pagers, your formula sheet kind of things ready, right? You may download it from anywhere, but I'm a little old fashioned in that sense. I feel that so much technology, so much information, it's become easier for you to just download, print, and everything. But the more handwritten stuff you do, the better it is. Sometimes students, they come up with I don't know, their iPads and there's the technical gadgets and show me the answer. I wonder how well they can write in the exam when a normal pen and paper is given. So since the exam's demand is that to be a little old fashioned, I would urge you to also have your plain sheets, with the margin and a pen that you're going to start getting used to the kind of pen that you're going to write with, how you're going to use a scale, for example. And you know that they're blank sheets, so obviously you have to learn how to write straight first. So if you take any page and you keep, say, another sheet behind it which is lined, then you can sort of see the impression of this. You know what I mean? Keep a blank page, behind the blank page keep a sheet which is lined, so, and then start writing on it. Slowly and steadily you will know how to write it straight. Otherwise, the first time someone writes on a blank sheet, suppose I'm trying to write my name, then it goes a little like this, and then you come up and all these small things, they make a lot of difference in your final presentation, not just optional but overall journey, right? So get a formula sheet done and everything. 27th is just around the corner, which is when we are starting with the classes. It's like I used to love calling it like a military program, because once you get into it, there'll be work each and every day. But if you shy away from work, then maths is not an optional for you. Actually, then I think UPSC itself is not an optional for you, because it does require a great deal of work. But I can definitely assure you that it's very interesting. And see, maths is that one topic that nobody has forced you to come and attend here, because you must have had some liking for the subject, some passion for the subject, because it's not like you are. So a lot of optionals, and I don't want to take their names, but a lot of optional students have not studied in their college, in their schools. Like if they were a science student and they end up taking a humanities kind of subject, right? So they learn everything from the scratch. They develop the answer writing skills, the vocabulary that is required, and so on. Maths is that one technical paper where if you look at the syllabus, you'll find a lot of familiar topics. How good you are at them is not something that I'm getting into, and I don't take it for granted. So we start with level 0. I treat you like my first year students, someone directly out of school, and then take you till the level that is required. So we go from 0 level to the level that is required to do well in the exam. That's the kind of support system that you get here once you enroll in Vajiram for your optional. Is that clear to everyone? So make an informed decision about whether maths is really an optional for you or not, because as any other optional, it also requires a dedicated effort from your side. But we'll be here to support you in each and every terms, in terms of the booklets, in terms of any extra help that is required, and writing answers. Sheets will get evaluated with personal feedback. So you'll know a way forward. You will not just know why you are making a mistake, you will also know how to improvise on your answers, how to come out of the problem of making this kind of mistake. Is that clear to everyone? So I think I've covered the entire syllabus and what the program is like, what are the requirements that you need to fulfill before you join the program. Of course, like I said, there are supporting programs after it, but they're not compulsory. In fact, I don't encourage students to always join the supporting programs like a test series or a crash course. See, why they're required is because the window after prelims is very small. People are running here and there to do everything. They want to do a final revision, they have to revise so much. Then maths also they need help, because discipline doesn't come. That's why we have some crash courses, where we sort of every week we just touch upon a topic. So they get time to revise it, and then they give tests which are personally evaluated, and then they get a feedback. There could be one-on-one interaction. And as far as strategy discussion is concerned, in a classroom full of students, not everybody, unfortunately, is going to clear the prelims in one go. So after the after the prelims get over, depending on whether the student is in a position to clear the exam or not, individually they can come and meet me, and then we can discuss what their strategy should look like. So one is a generic discussion of what a strategy looks like, and the other is when you have actually worked on yourself, you can come and discuss your strategy with me, and then I could help you with my inputs and everything. Okay, so it's like there are two people in this journey. One is of course you, and the other one will be the institute. So we'll have your back. We'll be there to support you at every step of the way. but the effort has to come from your side. There's obviously a lot of, unfortunately, there is a lot of spoon feeding. Like I'm almost solving everything, telling you what has to be done, but after that, the journey is about how much time you're able to take out, how much revision are you able to do, are you able to follow the instructions to the T. And yes, it is a battle, but it's something that people have done in the past, and it's not something which is not achievable. Is that clear? So I think I've covered things to my end. Now I'm open to any questions if you might have. Offline students, do you have any questions? So what we're going to do for this 27th September course is that we're going to begin with something called, now earlier I was thinking of beginning with real analysis and calculus, but unfortunately I was not well for about a week, which has got, my preparation has got slightly delayed. But that's also very interesting, because this year I will be beginning with linear programming first. It's a very simple topic, gets done in 4 to 5 classes, and in the exam comes for about 40 marks. How nice is that? 5-6 classes, 40 marks, sure shot in the exam. So we'll start with linear programming, and after that we move to real analysis and calculus. This is paper 1 and paper 2 combined together. Like I told you, real analysis and calculus is quite a huge topic. So we start with real analysis and calculus, and simultaneously, say once or twice a week, you will have your physics classes from about mid of October. For physics classes, there is another faculty who will be doing the physics topics. He is also from IIT Delhi, which is where I am from actually. And and he predominantly deals with physics, even though physics has to be done as a part of maths optional. So our focus, so it's under my supervision, which basically means that I know what is the requirement of the exam. You don't have to do a PhD in physics here. You have to be able to do the compulsory questions and the questions that come from physics portion. And why is physics included in maths optional? Because after doing about 2-3 steps of physics, the question predominantly becomes a maths question, right? So you have to know how to find you have to again know how to integrate, you have to know how to get the equations or differential. So it becomes either a differential equation or it becomes a vector ka question, curl nikalo, gradient nikalo. It becomes one of the topics that you would have done with me, right? So the physics topics will happen, say, once or twice a week. The physics topics I intend to finish by end of December. So they're not going to happen in one go. It's not going to be an overdose of physics that, 10 days you only have physics. No, it'll have 2 days, 3 days of physics, so that there is also time to imbibe it at home and then come back and ask doubts. So it happens in a very cyclic kind of a manner. Okay. And beyond that, then of course we continue with the entire syllabus. Is that clear? So Adarsh is asking me, is the UPSC syllabus till the level of JEE Advanced? I would say they're totally different from each other. JEE Advanced has nothing to do with UPSC question paper. UPSC question paper resonates more with undergraduate program of maths in any university in our country. So you pick up Allahabad University, you pick up Agra University, you pick up Delhi University, you pick up universities which are offering BSc Maths Honors or BA Maths Honors. It is an honors program. Your optional is actually a specialization, right? So you're specializing in maths if you take maths as your optional. So the papers are the graduation levels, okay? And in the exam, they are not just all theorems, definitely not. No, that is wrong. There are about 30% theorems and remaining are practical questions, right? So we have theorems also being reflected in the exam, but a lot of numerical questions. So it is, students call it as theoretical questions and numerical questions. I'll show you in my classes how they're not different from each other, how your approach has to remain the same. So not only theorems are asked, they ask theorems as well as questions. Nayan, yes, you can join test series also, but I would personally advise you to first be confident in your syllabus. If you have done the syllabus, you think you have done it from your own source or whatever, and you're only interested in practice, then join test series. Because even though test series has classes, 20 to 25, we have discussions actually. But discussions get translated into on the demand of the students. They tell me, ma'am, cyclic groups is very tough. Can you take classes on that? And discussion means when I give the solution sets, there is nothing else left to discuss because I've checked your sheets, I've given you remarks, I've given you a model answer paper. So there is nothing else left to discuss. So in the 2 hours that we have fixed for discussions, on the insistence of the students, that gets converted into classes. They tell me which topics they find difficult, and but that is only tip of the iceberg. So actually, the journey has to be about doing the foundation course first, so that your foundations are very, very strong, right? But yes, a separate test series program is available, but that you must focus on only if you think you have done the syllabus once properly and nicely. When you think you are ready, you know, and you only need practice, then test series you should join. No, because it is a completely subjective paper, and that is why my entire talk today was about the presentation. So they're not objective questions. The entire paper is subjective, which is, let me tell you, a very, very good thing. Objective question paper in maths, there has to be a very different way of preparing for it as compared to preparing for a subjective paper. So like I said, what are the two pillars on which the answers are based? It is based on accuracy, of course, together with presentation. So there are subjective papers, subjective questions only. So there are two. So one question that you're asking me is, how much is the highest score that has been achieved in maths till now? Which I think it is about 375. But a more pertinent question here, what you're asking me, what I hear. Yeah. So how many? So first, let me answer that question. How many marks can you expect with your maths as an optional? To be very fair and very objective, and not to show my extra love for the subject, I'm going to say a 300 plus is very, very possible and very, very doable. It's very doable, which is an excellent score given the optional paper. Okay, 300 out of 500 is damn good, right? And this is after all those rumors. They're not rumors literally. There is something called scaling, and but there's no transparency about it. So I'm not going to waste my time and energy to talk about something that we don't have clarity on. But in spite and despite of all the scaling, 300 plus is a very, very, very possible and a doable score. If there is a scaling, there is a scaling for everybody, right? So it's a competition exam. You are not trying to excel in the paper. You're trying to compete with your friends. You're trying to compete with others. So you can get 300, right? Yes, to be able to let me first complete this, and I'll come to your why you should opt for maths. And you are asking an important question. Out of 10, how many marks can we get? I'll tell you what the marking scheme looks like. Okay. Now, professors from esteemed universities and colleges will be forming the team of people who are examiners and checking your scripts. So, how are your scripts evaluated? Let me give you a sample of that. This is how you've written your answer. The examiner first looks at your final answer, and suppose the answer is, I don't know, 4 pi r square, something, which happens to be the correct. It's a numerical question. First, let's talk about the two kind of questions: numerical questions, theoretical questions. Now, right now, I'm talking about numerical questions. He looks at 4 pi r square, which is the correct answer. It's a 10 marker. Do you think after putting this final tick, he's going to give you 10 on 10? No. Now, the marks that he is going to allocate depends on your presentation skills. Have you written it in steps? Have you addressed the problem? Have you shown the calculations? Have you written everything nicely and properly? Then you can get, so if your answer is correct, you get anywhere between 5 to 10. 5 is the lowest you get, 50% of the marks, because your final answer is, but you don't get 10 on 10 unless your presentation is top notch. You get it? This, on the other hand, if your final answer is not correct, the final answer should have been 4 pi r square, you are getting a 4 pi r cube, or you're getting a 18 pi, or something like that. Final answer is wrong. What do you think? Are you going to get a 0? No. You're going to get anywhere between 0 to 5. You can get a 0 if the answer is also wrong, presentation is also pathetic, examiner cannot make out only what you have done. So he's not going to give you any marks. But if the examiner can see the steps, if he or she can find out that you've written what is the characteristic equation here, what were the things that you've done, you integrate, and then some small minor error that you have done, whether it is conceptual or calculative. If you made a calculation mistake like 2 plus 2 you've written as 5, or something like that, or some conceptual mistake also, if you've done in between, instead of considering this you've considered something else, then he may just give you about 5 marks. So that's just 50% of the marks you can snatch from the examiner. Is that clear? Coming to the theoretical questions are like, for example, the theorems. Now, theorems out of 10 can get you anywhere from about 4 to 10, because theorems also, last line of any theorem is hence proved or hence verified, because it's a theorem, right? But then just by writing anything, you don't get marks. But it's easier to get marks in a theorem provided you know the outline of it. Even if you make one or two silly errors or inadvertently miss out a small point, they don't penalize you very heavily. They penalize you very heavily in numerical questions. आंसर रॉन्ग मतलब 50% से ऊपर तो मार्क्स मिलेंगे ही नहीं फॉर श्योर. बट थ्योरम्स में ऐसा नहीं है. थ्योरम्स में मार्क्स लेना आसान होता है. My students, and if I may take the liberty, if they write the proof, if they know the proof and if they write it, they get anywhere between 8 to 10. More like a 10 actually, but then I cannot generalize. But a lot of them, if you know the proof, if you've done it properly and nicely with me, which is basically the USP of the program, that together with the concepts, we also do the presentation. So we can, have I answered your question? Yeah. Can you please scroll down? There was a question I missed. Yeah. So someone is asking me, can I opt for it because I'm interested in maths? Interest is, of course, paramount. You have to be interested in this subject, because any optional journey, any preparation for any exam for any subject is not going to be linear. Now, because we are maths people, we can understand the journey is not going to be like this, or the journey is not going to be, I have a particular liking for it, it'll just keep going up and up and up. That doesn't happen usually. What happens is you start with a lot of enthusiasm. In the first 1 month, first 1 week, first 1 day of attending something, you're very, very happy. So, you are basically at the peak of your likingness and you're ready and all. Then something happens, like, for example, you don't like that particular concept that's happening, or you're struggling with integration, or you're making a lot of calculation mistake. One day your focus is not there, so you start feeling a little, and the difficult topics also, some of them you will not really have a very good liking for. So it dips. But then you come across a topic which you start liking again. So this is like the famous sine cos graph. So if you don't have basic interest or passion for the subject, it is impossible to sustain it for a longer period of time. This is not just true for maths. Why maths is applicable in all the branches across the world. I mean, any branch of any subject you pick up, maths plays an important role. You agree with that? Application is there. So that means what I'm talking about is the universal truth. First and foremost, you have to have liking for you to be able to sustain it for a longer period of time. So passion for the subject is definitely one of the reasons why you should opt. Second, of course, like I said, static syllabus. Third, of course, the support system that you get here. If you're able to do questions and if PYQs are also getting done, in how many optionals can the teacher say whatever I've taught today definitely will come in the exam? Hardly any. You can't do that, except for in maths you can. I mean, this year's paper you see on the 29th, there'll be questions on Eulers. 100% there'll be a question on transportation problem. There'll be a question. I mean, when I say 100%, of course, once in a blue moon, they drop transportation, but they ask assignment. So I can't tell you 10 out of 10, but I can roughly tell you that out of these 20 topics, 11 or 12 will be coming in the exam. And that's a very high predictive rate here. Yeah? So that's why you should opt for maths as the syllabus. So the 3 basic reasons: your interest, of course. Second is, of course, the nature of the syllabus itself. It's scoring. It gives you a logical ability. It gives you an edge over others in that sense. Your logical ability also gets developed, and it's easier to score. It gives you a break from your GS. GS is about remembering a lot of things. Maths is about doing a lot of things. This I can talk to only those people who have an interest in maths. Sometimes doesn't it happen? You're so engrossed in it, you don't even realize where the time has gone. That doesn't happen usually in a subjective kind of paper. When you're reading a lot of information, the brain gets tired. But when you're doing a lot of things, we get more excited, in fact. Third, of course, like I said, is the support that you get. Maths is very static. The classes they happen in a very disciplined sort of a manner. So they help you keep on track. And so it's beneficial for you to opt for maths. Standard books, Adarsh, like I said, the list is uploaded on the website. But 13 topics, 13 books, please don't sit down and buy them, because there's no way on earth you have that much amount of time. So you can rely on the booklets that I give for each and every topic in the class. You can do those together with the PYQs. Please compile all the previous year question papers somewhere and keep them handy, because I repeatedly ask my students to go back home and revisit the question papers to get a sense of what the question paper looks like, how to understand the questions, how to choose the questions. So I'm a staunch believer that you should not go to the websites which have segregated the questions and only look at that. You should look at the entire question paper. It gives you a feel of the paper. It helps you recognize, this question is from here, this question is from here, for how many marks, in what combination has it come. So it's very, very important to sort of have a look at the question papers. All right. Yes, Shubhangi, the test series is an ongoing program. You can join if you like. And it is, like I said, a 1-year program. The test series program starting now goes up till mains next year. And it happens in a very cyclic manner with a lot of flexibility, because each person, after preparing the foundation course once, then has its own strategy. कि कोई बोलता है हम पेपर 1 सेक्शन ए प्रिपेयर करेंगे, कोई सिर्फ अलजेब्रा और अलजेब्रा पहले प्रिपेयर करता है जैसे हम लोग क्लास में करते हैं. So depending on that, there's a lot of freedom, but there is also a sense of accountability. You know, say for example till December सारे sectional papers खत्म हो जाने चाहिए, फिर full length papers you will write. Then you will write down the full length papers and so on towards the end. And so the test series program is, like I said, an ongoing one. You can join it. Sai is asking me how to ask or clear doubts for online students, and also online test series is good or should I join offline? Well, I'll answer your question in 2 bits here. First of all, the way you are writing your question here is exactly the same way that you can ask in a live class also. Okay, so you write your doubt and then I answer, like not continuously answer, but yes, after every a few minutes I look up the screen and there is a question that's popped up, and then I'm able to answer the question while writing. That's how it happens in live classes. As long as test series is concerned, again, it's the same thing. You can come to the offline center here and give the exam. Or you can give it at home and then you make a PDF and share it, and then then I evaluate it and we send you back. Personally, I should not actually force you, but I feel that offline is slightly better. Like I said, the old-fashioned things, they are going to come back sooner or later. Right now, everything is from your own comfort zone of your house and everything. But I think offline, that effort that you put into travel also gives you the sense of dedication. Otherwise, at home, I think sometimes the discipline doesn't come in everything. So, but yes, online and offline, both it's available, right? Now, Vikas is asking me, can I score more than 400 marks? Can I? The answer is yes. You can score 500 and 500. But let me be very, very, very honest here. You get a 400 out of 500 is your actual score. It will get scaled down to something like a 320 out of 500, okay? There is a scaling procedure that UPSC follows. There is no clarity about it. But they have a limit as to how many marks they can give in optional. Theoretically speaking, you can get a 500 on 500, right? Why not? I mean, haven't there been some class test you remember of school or something where you must have got a 10 on 10 or a 20 on 20 but this is UPSC. The topper gets like 50 to 60% of the marks that are allocated. So you can't expect optional also to be the only game saver. It can't be like, oh, I do so well in optional, then I don't clear the other papers also, it's okay. Doesn't really happen. Ideally, the answer can be yes, you can definitely get 400, but that would be a lie, because to get 400, you'll have to be like getting a 500 on 500, which is impossible for anyone. Let me be very honest, okay? Because the nature of the paper, it's a competition exam. It is not a university exam that you're trying to clear or top. University papers are different. Even if it is master's level, even if it's PhD, MPhil levels, they are different from how a competition exam behaves. The questions are framed in such a way that I would urge you to have a very realistic expectation of 300 plus, which is damn good score, huh, by the way. It is a very, very good score because your preparation, like I said, has to be holistic and not just focused on one thing. Is that clear? Like I said, because there are again patterns in the paper, questions repeated. Yes, that is why we focus on PYQs. Exact question repeated or similar questions, well, my answer will be similar. So there'll be a transportation problem question almost every year. You can't expect the numbers to exactly be the same, but yes, the nature will be same. So there is a lot of repetition actually. The pattern of the paper does get repeated a lot, a lot. Yeah. So that is what makes it more doable. No? If it was anything under the sun, then it becomes difficult. But about 50 to 60% paper is very, very easily predictable in terms of the topic from which the questions can come. Yeah. Any other doubt, offline students, if you have about the which one? Yeah, so see, slightly cut off. Let me answer that question. So a student is asking me if 2 years have had, I've not had, maths, and I've been slightly cut off. Now, I ask you if you have any other optional in your mind, for example, you will have absolutely, okay, I'm so sorry. You'll have absolutely no idea about that optional. So if you're planning to start afresh from any one particular, all right. Damn. Sorry. Okay, I need to step away. What is this? Just get a. All right. Any other optional that you start to begin with, you have to start from zero any which ways. No? So slightly out of touch from mathematics can be a good and a bad thing, because at least you're enthusiastic enough now to look at the formula sheet. You know, people who've been doing it also tend to get bored out of it. Slightly out of touch is not a problem, as long as you are ready to revisit your basic integration, differentiation, keep up the work that is expected out of you, which is a minimum of 5 to 6 hours of investment I'm asking from you. 2.5 hours in terms of class and 2.5 hours in terms of revision. You know, a 2.5 hour class can technically get revised in about 1 hour. In about 1 hour. 1 hour, 15 minutes. Okay. The remaining time you can focus on building up your strong fundamentals. And it's not like you've not done them before. It is said that once you know how to cycle or play an instrument like a harmonium, swimming, and maths, these are the things you never actually forget. If you were good at it at one point of time, if you think integration did not scare you, if you did not have what is very commonly known as phobia for mathematics, have you had friends who are not very interested in maths? Your own family members also sometimes they're like, oh my god, yeah. If you're not that category, that means you liked maths at some point of time. It'll come back. It'll come back. Yeah. But if you are scared of it, if you're one of those who wanted to drop maths after class 10th, you've not had maths in college, then of course maths is something that I would. So it's not. See, maths is good. It is applicable in almost all branches, but only for people who have love for the subject. And it's not really a student's mistake, actually. I think at school level, it is taught not in a very good fashion. So people develop a dislike for the subject. The subject as such is pretty beautiful. And mathematics is the queen of all the science. So, and mathematical sciences is the program. Actually, it's called mathematics. We also call it maths and everything. Technically, if you look at the IIT's curriculum, it is known as mathematical sciences. So apart from physics and chemistry, maths is the only subject that is offered. You know, a commerce student who has maths can end up doing masters from IIT Delhi, master's program in science with commerce background. Why is it possible? Because maths is something that it it overlooks all the boundaries of subjects. वो साइंस भी है, वो ह्यूमैनिटीज के बच्चे भी पढ़ते हैं, इकोनॉमिक्स के साथ कॉम्बिनेशन में पढ़ा जाता है, कॉमर्स में कॉम्बिनेशन के साथ पढ़ा जाता है. तो मैथ्स you from no matter what background you are, college or school, as long as you've had a love for maths and you've had some papers of maths, the love will come back for sure. I can vouch for that. Okay. It's after scaling, Shubhangi. Yes, after scaling. Both the answer to both the questions is after scaling 300 plus, yes. And mark sheet is also after scaling, yes. But there is no rule about the scaling, so I will not really go into it today or even later. In the class also, I discourage students to think about anything that is not in our control. When we don't know, why we discuss it, why waste time? You know, let's just focus on getting the best out of the topics. And so, yeah. Is that clear? Can you scroll down? There's a question I missed. Just a second. Yeah, when to start preparing for optional before exam? I mean, how many months before prelims? Well, the time is now. That's why I'm not deferring my program even by a single day, because this is high time. If you want to target for 2025, then this is the last opportunity to take up maths, because like I said, it'll take you about 6 to 7 solid months of preparation to do one revision, one course, and then at home the revision is happening, and then only one more revision you will get between prelims and mains. So the right time is now, if not already earlier. Okay. So there are only 2 options that you get to join the course here at Vajiram. One is in June when the first batch begins, and now this is the last opportunity. This is the last call for 2025 mains. After that, you then have to focus on your 2026, because the program UPSC journey is itself like that. No, it requires a preparation, not on the spot preparation. Pre-preparation is the time is right now. Is that clear? Any other doubt anyone has? Offline students? Yes. Do you have a doubt? No. All right. Online students, if you have any more doubts, can you ask? I hope I've answered all questions. If there is anything that you want to ask. Pardon? You have doubts, okay. Okay. So I'll just read out some doubts here, the relevant ones. I want to take this optional, but the physics part of it, especially fluid dynamics, scares me. Let me tell you, here at Vajiram, we have prepared 4 excellent booklets of physics now, which cover the theory, which cover the solutions, which cover practice problems, which covers the PYQs. So, and fluid dynamics sounds a very scary kind of a topic. Let me ensure you let me ensure that when you sit down and do actually the questions, it boils down to mathematics. या तो उसमें डिफरेंशियल इक्वेशंस लग रहा है या कहीं वेक्टर कैलकुलस लग रहा है क्योंकि otherwise why is physics included? So physics is not going to be a problem. Also remember the syllabus that we discussed in the beginning. Physics comes in combination with other subjects also, other topics also. So a judicious way of doing well in physics is to just concentrate on the kind of questions that UPSC asks. Based on that, everybody is able to. In fact, it's sometimes easier to do the physics questions than to do the maths also. So the combination, so it's not going to be such a deterrent after all. And we'll have some basic classes on physics, like 1 or 2 classes on physics will be just for anyone who has forgotten anything about. So physics, even if you don't know the P of it, we'll have something called a review class, like what is a vector, what is acceleration, what is velocity, what are Newton's laws, very, very basic. And handouts are given to you for practice. So if you do that, it should not be a difficult thing, all right? So I hope I've yeah, so I mean, changing an optional, well, I will not comment on what your optional was, Pankaj, and why you should convert it to maths. I can only talk about my subject. I can only tell you why you should take maths, but then it is to each an individual decision. Keep in mind the love for the subject has to be there, but you cannot expect the journey to be linear. Oh, I love everything in maths. That doesn't happen even with me after years and years of doing mathematics. So there'll be topics that you like, there'll be topics you're good at, there are topics that you will you would like to scold yourself that oh my god, what a silly mistake here. Sometimes that happens. Instead of a 2 you copy down a 3. It's the most careless kind of mistakes that happen in the maths, and they're quite irritating and frustrating sometimes. But then changing the optional is really an individual decision that one has to make. Okay, to answer this question, who should opt for maths? If you've had some maths papers in college, then you are welcome to join the program. Like I said, basic love and some. So it's not like after 12th you've not studied maths only. Even if you've studied it, like for example, the student is saying you've done eco honors, but eco honors an integral part is maths. You must have done a lot of MME papers, calculus papers. So you're more than welcome to join if you have basic interest. 2026, whether your aim is 2025 or 2026, I think the right time to join is now because there's no current affairs component here. So the sooner you do it, the more time you have to do revision. And if you want to think about test series or even sitting at home and practicing, forget about a test series. I'm not encouraging you to join more and more and more. I'm saying you also need time at home to sit down and revise. So the sooner you finish the syllabus, the better it is going to be. Yeah. Can you scroll down? I want to read that question. Yeah. So, Srivardhan, to answer your doubt, well, it's a good thing that sometimes when you get stuck in a problem, you end up spending 3 to 6 hours on it. But here it will not happen because you're not left on your own. I will be there throughout to guide you. So today we have a class. If you get stuck in a question, I tell you how much, you'll have so much work to do. You will not have time to devote six hours to one question. You'll come back again tomorrow and ask for hint. And a lot of times I don't give ready-made answers. I ask you to try something out. I give you a hint. We discuss the outline. And then it becomes easier. Yeah. So we will be doing each and every topic in the class in such a way that it will help you to not get stuck for hours and hours in a problem alone. You'll have the support of coming to the class again back tomorrow and getting that. And also there is a small closed group that we make, a Telegram group, where you help each other. All my students are very helpful in that sense. So if you're getting stuck, you also have your peers. Now, today in the class, I was telling in the foundation class that it's very difficult to find like-minded people, who think like you. So people who choose a same kind of an optional has some sort of a common underlying love for the subject and everything. So that group that we form is also a very big support system. कहीं किसी से calculation नहीं हो रहा है तो somebody else can help. Sometimes I can also pitch in, not always because God knows I'm very busy with my classes and every day taking this thing. But each other, they start helping. They share solutions with each other and everything. So I hope I've answered that question. Can you scroll down, please? So I hope, Srivardhan, I've answered your questions. Shubhangi, well, it is very relative. In my test series program, I have students, and without naming them, I can vouch for it. They also get about a 200 on a 250, which is considered an excellent score. The highest that I've got, and I mean, I tried my level best to cut the marks with this girl in every little thing that I could think of, but I just know she's not given me any scope. So about a 225 out of 250 also I've ended up giving to a student in the test series in the classroom programs, you know. So, but well, on an average, like I said, please remember 300 you have to get. So the focus can be getting anything like a 150. I don't like really a 150 score, but a 180 more like it, because, you know, after that scaling process and everything. So anything more than 180 is considered to be an excellent score. But you have comments from me like good, very good, capable of better, excellent. So you know where your journey is going to be. And each topic you are not excellent. But in each topic, you have a scope of becoming excellent. So you will have all that. Is that clear? Is there any other doubt? Can you scroll down a bit? Yeah, scroll down. Yeah. 2026 I've answered. Yeah, so all these questions I've taken. Someone is asking me about the fees. Kindly look at the fee structure from the Vajiram's website. It is prominently displayed and everything. So all your fee structure, administrative queries, you can address to the admin. Ricky is saying starting from zero. I take it for granted that you don't know anything, you know, because I think you were very good students when you were in school. Were you good students in school? And then college happened. And then everything just went out the window. And then again, you're back in the UPSC preparation. You're the most hardworking people and everything. But I don't take it for granted that you know everything. So if you start from zero and you give dedicated 7 months, you can expect a decent score in mathematics. Yes, recorded classes also unfortunately are given. I'm saying unfortunately because I do prefer a live, because where do you then ask doubts? I prefer offline, because then how do we otherwise interact? So, but yes, in case of a limitation, like if you're not well or anything, you obviously have access to the videos which you can watch. All these details, the administrative ones, you can check from the website. Yeah, Shravan, have I answered your query about the video backup? So there'll be a backup, but like I prefer, so for example, thanks Sai for joining us with your camera on, because it makes me remember you, and, you know, it makes me connect with who I'm talking to. And so things like that, when you switch on your cameras and interact, only then online students actually have a better utility of the program. You know, I'm able to do more to it. So, yeah. And 7 months is the program, like I answered before. Duration of the course is 7 months, and the timings are 7:30 to 10:30. I think I've answered all questions. So after the mains this year, I may take a small session, as someone requested, for students who have prepared once and then they want to. So basically, then I'll be talking predominantly about the test series program, which I've also briefly mentioned here. That if you're comfortable with the entire syllabus, and if you think you don't need the notes, and because, you know, you can't have it all. Test series is like a revision thing that you have to sit at home most of the days. Once or twice a month, you'll have to come and write down the tests, which will get evaluated. You'll have discussions based on it. If that's the amount of input that you require from the teacher, then test series is the thing. Foundation course, on the other hand, is diametrically opposite. It is daily dosage of maths, you know, which will include all your doubts. And see, nobody is saying all the 13 topics of maths is where you require coaching. You know, people don't come for coaching for particular topic. You come for the overall thing. So if you say algebra is tough, which is considered tough by most of the students, you can't just do that well. You know, if you do that well, then other things also get, they're all related. According to me, the syllabus is all interlinked, and I'll show you my interlinkages. Yes, like I said, because the recorded videos are there. So for working professionals or people who are students still and they're not able to attend live lectures, they can watch the videos in the evening where the classes are uploaded. And but you have to do it regularly so that you can be up to the mark with regards to where the pace of the program is like. Is that clear? So any other doubt? Have I missed anything on the, all right. So offline students, any doubt? Final call for any, all right. Online students, Sai, is there any doubt that you would have? No? All right. Shubham is asking me, is maths or chemistry scoring? Well, I can't comment on chemistry, but I can definitely say maths is for sure very, very scoring. It's been a it's doing well in terms of the UPSC, and so it's very scoring for sure. One of the most scoring. It's a technical paper, like I said, and so yeah, it is very scoring. Chemistry, I can't really comment on. Is that clear? All right, so guys, I'll take your leave. You have any admin details that you want to check out, you can check it out from the Vajiram's website. And for hoping to see you guys on the 27th so that we can begin the journey together. Thank you. Thank you.